So in this video, I want to talk about sort of the situation with Freya and the war game, and of course I will be continuing to talk further about Volume 18 and some of the other interesting, intricate stuff, and where the story will go for Volume 19. Obviously, I'm going to be talking about spoilers. One thing to also note, because apparently some people don't understand that Japan is a country on the planet Earth, and that light novels do release in Japan before the West gets them. Yes, Volume 18 has released. It is a Japanese release right now. It is in Japanese, which means you either need to read Japanese or you need to have someone translate it for you. So I just wanted to be very clear there, because I've had some comments of people keep saying in every video, Volume 18 has not released. It has released. It's just the Japanese translation. So again, just want to be very clear there. So I wanted to talk about, as the title will most likely be around the lines of, did Freya win or Freya won, question mark, something like that. Because for those that do know what happens at the end of this, there is a war game. It's meant to be a game of hide and seek, but it turns into a siege battle. And without getting into the intricacies of what happens in it, because that's not really what the discussion is about, I'll talk about that in a separate video. Bel and his team, of course, win. As you would all guess, I mean, that was obvious. It was kind of set in stone well in advance. But the way I see it is that even though Bel and the team won that war game, Freya also won as well. And the reason why Freya won in my eyes is because deep down inside, she got what she desired. And what I mean by that is, in the early stages of Volume 18, it goes over how she feels about her life. And this is something I talked about a couple of weeks ago with the Freya, a broken and lost woman, because she just feels like she can't be too close to people because of her passive sort of aura that she has, where she can entrance the gods and the goddesses, except free exclusive goddesses part of Olympus. Now, I've had some comments, people like, oh, but there are other goddesses a part of Olympus. Yes, I know that, but in the light novels, it specifically notes on only 3, again, in the light novels, this is the author's work, only 3 of the goddesses from Olympus are immune to Freya's charm. So, there are others, but they aren't immune. And so Freya's fear was always that she would get struck down by the big boy upstairs if she got too close, and so she was always a little bit like she wanted to distance herself. I don't think she would have ever been struck down, but I think that was just her internal fear, that she felt like she couldn't get close. It's kind of that antisocial feeling that she couldn't be close because of that, and so she just desired to be able to just fall in love naturally and have someone fall in love with her for who she is, like proper love, not because of her aura. And so living her life as Sia, I think, made her much more happier. Now, she kind of sacrificed that life as Sia because she confessed her love as Sia to Bel, and he rejected her. So she kind of went with the whole thing of, well, I'm just going to take him by force as Freya. But I think she still desired to live her life as Sia. Now, with her losing the war game and the familiar members being disbanded, she is not exiled. She's allowed to live in the city. Hestia has turned the other cheek. Bel wasn't ever going to do anything extreme. He wanted to be her knight, and he said that. So she's able to live in the city with the hostess familiar members, or the hostess, the bar itself, with all the other bar girls, but she lives her life as Sia, which in my view, that is the life that she truly desired deep down. Now, does that mean she'll find new love with someone else? I actually do hope she does, because I don't want the harem to just become an endless, massive, growing number, and it become harder and harder and harder. But I feel like Freya will always kind of deep down inside love Bel, but it would be nice if maybe, like, there was kind of like a situation where Bel actually helps, like, facilitate a romance that maybe Sia/Freya ends up finding, like she ends up falling in love with someone else, and Bel kind of is that wingman that ends up help facilitating it. It was kind of cute. It would also teach Bel some more romance to help him maybe further his relationship with Eyes. Whether you agree that's going to happen or not, we'll leave that up for you. I'm sure that gets heated in the comments all the time, but that's something I would like to see, but I don't think that will happen. It's just kind of one of those where I would like, but it won't. Unless it does, then I'll be surprised, but I'll be happy. But that also being said, is that even though, yes, she will be able to live her life working at the bar as Sia, I don't think she'll be able to get too close to Bel. I think a lot of people, part of Hestia's familiars, are not going to allow Sia to get too close to Bel. But that also being said, not everyone in the city knows who Sia is. So she'll be able to live her life out as Sia as long as she doesn't do anything insane. And it's not like she can like start a siege or anything, because her familiar members are all disbanded and they're gone their separate ways. Now, whether they stay in the city, from the light novels, it does seem to be that they're all going to kind of stick around. But the light novels did emphasize that the city kind of needed her and her familiar members, but it seems to be that the author's gone down the route of just having it disbanded, and I think they'll all kind of go their own different ways. Some people have theorized that some of them will join Hestia. I don't think that will happen, just because I think the writer wants to keep Hestia's familiar members simple. That doesn't mean, though, that some of them will help and assist on their journeys. I just think they'll kind of be like guests that will come and go out of the story to help Bell on his journey through that. Otherwise, if they join the familiar members, it's more that the writer's got to keep track of and keep part of the main story, which I think the writer's trying to keep things simple, which is why I think, in a way, he got rid of Freya but kept Sia, because they're both the same person. But if he kept the familiar going, Freya's familiar members and all of that, it would have meant he would have had to juggle the story around and kept it kind of jumping backwards and forwards, which isn't hard. But I think if he wants to continue writing more volumes, I think this is a way for him to simplify the story and just make it streamlined and easier to go with, which is just Sia is the one that ends up winning out of Freya and Sia. So I feel like she won at the end of the day. You could argue that no, she lost, she got a punishment, but even then the punishment just doesn't really seem that severe. I know some people will compare to Apollo. Apollo's punishment was really bad, but not really. I don't really think he had that much attachment to his own familiar members. I feel like Freya probably cared more about her familiar members than Apollo, even though they kind of both were very possessive in a way. But Apollo just kind of seemed very cold and calculated and just didn't care as much, and him being exiled doesn't really impact him at all. I feel like he'll make a new group, he'll recruit new people, and he'll go on his merry way, and he'll live a life of luxury elsewhere and be a pain in the tush there. That's how I see it. So I don't really even think Apollo got the raw end of the stick. I feel like if it really was a punishment, he would have been thrown in the dungeon. Now, but then, to be honest, yeah, if he got thrown in the dungeon, then he'd go back to the heavens, and then, yeah, he'd be basically sent back up and not part of the game. So I just feel like Hestia turning the other cheek and Belle still being there to be that knight, she got the good end. She kind of got what she desired at the end of the day. What ends up happening in Volume 19 will be interesting, but I feel like Sia will just kind of be one of those characters that will come and go. It'll be just kind of part of... I think it was like the girl at the receptionist, the guild. It'll be kind of like that. Every now and again, she'll appear in the story, she'll be a part of the story, but she'll just be kind of like that side character. While Ryu, I have a feeling that is where things will get very interesting with her. And I'll talk about that in a separate video, but I feel like the relationship between Belle and her might get a lot more interesting, but I feel like Ryu will be there to make sure Sia stays in line. Kind of like the duo between Hestia and Eyes. When Eyes gets a little bit close, Hestia jumps in. It'll be kind of the same situation with the other one, and which I think is perfectly fine. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Should have the punishment been more harsher? What do you think the punishment should have been? How do you think the ending of this particular volume should have gone? And what do you think of this ending? Because I feel like going over the last couple of videos, check them all out if you want full context of all the little things that are going on in it. I feel like Sia just got the better end of the deal, because at the end of the day, the familiar members are disbanded. She gets to live her life as Sia. She continues to work at the bar. She gets to be with her close friends that she's part of. And maybe one day she might find new love. We'll just have to wait and see. But again, love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more anime content, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.